I feel like you're sitting up so much higher than I am.
I've noticed that. No, I'm just sitting. You're just slouching, chilling. I'm gonna do the whole segment just chilling, just like this, baby, enjoying
Yeah.
life.
Well, so my dad used to have a town car, and he leans that thing all the way back. My dad had a Lincoln Town Car. He's way out yonder on the Chattahoochee. All right, Carter the Power Bryant
Great song.
joins us. Carter, you made an interesting hot take today that you don't normally do.
Ooh, let's go. Let's hear
You
it.
think LSU's a Trey Amos away from being a national title contender?
Blake, I did not think he was going to be as good as I thought. So for me, I try and be as thorough as I can, watch as many games as I possibly can, and he looked really good. I mean, very, very, very good. I talked to you this weekend about him, and this weekend was like the first time I just went through as many games as I possibly could. And what was very interesting was his very last game. So for people that don't know, when you play at a school like UL, right? The first thing that comes to just anybody's mind is level of competition, right? It's not the SEC, it's not the Sun Belt. But in Trey Amos's last game, he played against a wide receiver that the Texans traded up to draft in the third round, who was voted by many the best wide receiver at the Senior Bowls, and his name was Tank Dell. And the quarterback was Clayton Tune, who I think could be a low key, really good backup quarterback in the NFL. He was also drafted. So, what everyone could do right now is ask yourself this question: how many quarterback wide receiver combos next year will be drafted in the next NFL draft? And I could only think of really Florida State and maybe a few others. So this guy's played against really good players. He also played against Florida State last year. UL played Florida State,
Right.
and he had a solid performance. But the Tank Dell game was really good. There was one time where he was beat horrendously at the goal line, but I did a whole film study on the entire game. You can go to Power Hour LSU and watch it. But if you're not a film study person, I know some of you aren't, it was really good. Just take my word for it. It was very good. It was a combination of things. It wasn't just press man. It wasn't just, intermediate stuff. It was deep stuff. It was pass deflections. It was all of it. And that really sold me. I think he could really play. And I think that's why, so many people offered him so quickly, is because this last game was just so good versus a guy that a lot of people in NFL circles love, and an NFL quarterback. So yeah, I really like him. And if he were to get picked up by LSU, he would not only start, he would just play a lot. So I am all in. I think he's a very solid player.
What's interesting, Carter, is everybody's offering him. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody.
he's got more offers than now listen. I don't know if it's because he's out there and he's just posting where he's got offers from, but I really don't remember a guy in the portal that's had this many offers. Do you?
No. And I think part of it is because of that. Because let's just say you're a college football staffer and somebody's name gets put in the portal, or if you were just to go out there and see, are there any corners in the non-power 5 level that are good? Well, one of the first ones you would look for is that player going up against NFL level talent. And I'm telling you, like, the game was really good. And it wasn't just that game. It was a lot more than just that. And he played better towards the end of the season than he did at the beginning. So, yeah, it is unusual, Blake, to see that many offers fly in, especially from, Saban as well, who is a tougher defensive back critic than anybody. It really is impressive. It really is. So, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's Patrick Peterson. Nobody is, but he's very solid. And if anyone watched the spring game this past week or a few weeks ago, yeah, you don't want to take too much away from a spring game, but you do also see that the secondary is relatively thin. Now, what I will also say, Blake, is I have become a little bit more of a Zy Alexander believer, digging through and looking at more Southeastern tape. So that's obviously a really good thing. And we'll see what Deuce Chestnut can do when he comes in. And look, you and I both have a lot of viewers in the 337. Shout out to LaTerrence Welsh. He is done a lot to make some people believe this offseason as well. But we'll see how it all develops, and hopefully it works out for LSU.
The Terrence is going to show it more consistently, right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can't just show it in the spring game. You got to show it in some practices too. You know, like Malik, I mean, you look. I love Chris Hilton more than anybody, and if you can keep up with him stride for stride, that's saying something. But I also was at a practice where he got a 3-piece and a soda by Malik Neighbors too. So
Right.
I just think that he's got to be more consistent.
Agreed.
So let me ask you this: LSU has offered Keon Coleman, Logan Diggs, Trey Amos, all guys from Louisiana. I get what BK's doing here. Do you also think that's a little bit of what he thinks their needs are?
I do. Obviously, I don't. I saw a few commenters say, "Well, we don't need Keon Coleman." Well, no one needs anybody, but Keon Coleman can really play. I just it's going to be very hard though, because it's not the easiest landing spot as it would be for Logan Diggs, where there is a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel for how they would use him, right? Especially with the uncertainty as you were bringing up about the running back room. But yeah, I agree with you, Blake. I watched a lot of Keon Coleman recently, heard different things about how LSU actually stands. I spoke to somebody in the know of Florida State. That would obviously not be good for us if he were to go to an NFL quarterback. And obviously they have Johnny Wilson. Putting him on the other side, that would make them one of the biggest wide receiver duos you would ever see. That would be a brutal matchup because, look,
it's an inexperienced DB room.
Right. And look, we can make all different excuses about why LSU lost to Florida State. It wasn't BK's best game. The offensive line wasn't set. Perk wasn't playing. Third down defense, special teams, and all of that. But go back and actually watch every throw that Jordan Travis made in that game. He was dominant. Like, I mean, that was just pure mastery of the quarterback position, how he was able to layer so many different throws where, if he's got better receivers, he would have even had a better day than what he had. And Keon Coleman would immediately make that room a lot better. I know he's there's some Ole Miss smoke. There's Ole Miss smoke with every skill guy in the portal because of Lane, but we'll see what happens with that. I'm not scared of Florida State. I don't want anyone to think that, but that is not a spot I want to see Keon Coleman landing.
I'd rather him go to Ole Miss.
Me too. 1,000 times.
Yeah, I mean, go to Ole Miss. Shit.
Yeah.
I don't want him at Florida State. They've gotten, you can still beat Ole Miss, with Keon Coleman. And I think that they get him the ball a lot more. I think it's a better fit for him than Florida State, who likes to run the ball.
And they just lost Chris Marshall, the 5-star who was supposed to be their ex.
Yeah, what's up with that? That kid just can't get it together.
And he can play. He can really play, but it's whatever. They're throwing it. They're just throwing. You just throw it away. Just throw it away. But yeah, going back to what you said a minute ago about Welch, I still to Malik Neighbors' side of things, I still think Malik's gonna have a great season. It's going to come down to if the other guys around him step up, because I'm telling you right now, Blake, this is just what teams are going to do. They are really going to force Jayden to throw to somebody else other than Malik Neighbors next year.
And listen, that's my point.
Right.
That was my point a week ago on the show, and everybody told me I was crazy. Look, Carter, I got eaten alive behind what I told you on the show a week ago. Then all of a sudden, everybody else comes out with this Coleman thing, and I'm like, well, thank you for telling me you don't watch football, because listen, he had more. Listen to this. There are receivers that we really need to start and have high production this year. Okay. That Keon Coleman has more catches, yards, and touchdowns against first round this year DBs than what these guys have in their careers combined. Like, buddy, let me tell you this. Kyron Lacy, Brian Thomas Jr., and Aaron Anderson, what do they not have more than Keon Coleman on? It's that production. Now, here's the flip side of that. Can BTJ, can Aaron Anderson, can Kyron Lacy, Can Kyle Parker, Landon Ibieta, can they do it? You're damn right they can. They can do it. All I'm saying is that you adding him, like, what does it hurt you? Nobody can go in the portal.
Yeah, and look, Keon Coleman has catch radius, right? He can make a lot.
I don't feel good about him, really. Like coming here, I think he's been.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Just once again, I'm not an insider. I'm definitely not as plugged in as you are, Blake. But it's going to take a lot. I feel a lot better about Logan Diggs and Trey Amos. But man, Coleman can really play. He can really play. Now, LSU still has enough to make a college football playoff run next year if they weren't to land any of those guys. But it goes to what a few very smart people in the chat have pointed out. It comes down to depth. It comes down to numbers, right? And I think one thing that is very important to keep in mind, Blake, is there are still, when you look at scholarship totals, LSU's number is in the high 70s right now. There's still a lot of those 78, 77, 78, whatever the final number is. There's a lot of those guys, and it's going to come off as just bad, but it's not. There's just guys that aren't SEC level players that are still on scholarship that are there, right? All three of these guys can play in the SEC. They just can. They have enough production. They have enough talent. And, college football is a numbers game. It really is. And, and I don't think any one of these three guys are like all-American level good, but all three of them have all conference game-changing type of potential. And adding those guys that are experienced, and Logan Diggs is 2 years of experience. Trey Amos has started, Blake, 3 years and has drawn some really tough matchups. Don't go and just say, well, it's the Sun Belt. Well, Mekhi Gardner was really good for LSU last year. And then obviously Keon Coleman is a really solid player. He also had some good blocking reps. And I highly recommend everyone go watch the Washington game in particular for Keon Coleman. It was a masterful wide receiver game. So obviously I feel better about the other two than I do Coleman at this point.
I want to ask you a non-football related question.
Let's do it.
At the end. So I got one more for you.
Yeah, let's go.
Football related. Peyton Wagner to Auburn.
I mean, Peyton Thorne.
I mean, what did I say? Wagner?
Yeah, I
went to school with a guy named Peyton Wagner. Peyton Thorne, excuse me.
Yeah.
Goes to Auburn. We just got done talking about him on our other show.
Okay.
Thoughts on him going to Auburn?
Yeah, I still think Robbie Ashford's going to start. I do. I think Auburn.
Do you really think that Peyton Thorne would come in there and not start? Not being given assurances?
I'm sure they told him he would start. I think by the end of next year, though, Robbie Ashford is going to be the guy. I do.
I could see that.
It just happened to be that I was watching a decent amount of Thorne because I started watching some Coleman. I think he's good. I really do. But I think Robbie's going to give him just a little bit more dual threat ability. I will say, if people think Jaden is just a runner and not a thrower, go watch Robbie Ashford. His throwing clips can be very horrendous, and he's got a cannon.
So listen.
Yeah, go on.
That's where I go with Jaden. That Robbie Ashford is who everybody thinks Jaden is.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So calm down, Buttercup. Yeah,
and I think Robbie played through a lot of injury last year. We banged him up really good. I mean, we got after him after a tough start to that game. And remember, TJ was just out of the picture, and Calzada was just out of the picture. So I think Robbie played through some injury last year. His best game was the Alabama game towards the end of the season. So, yeah. The bottom line, though, Blake, is Auburn. I just think, look, I would never hang out with Hugh Freeze. He's just not my cup of tea for a variety of different reasons. Morals aside, he can coach. He can really coach.
Ain't nothing wrong with going to the strip club.
But
ain't nothing wrong with paying a woman to As Lil Wayne would say, you like a lollipop.
Nothing wrong with that, but there's other things. But the bottom line is he could coach football, right? But that's not lollipop. That's a Wayne.
No. Lick you like a lollipop. All right, last one for you.
Let's do it.
Kim Mulkey.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do a baseball question. I was like, no,
I'm not asking you baseball. Matt Trent's coming on in 2 minutes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I love baseball. By the way, I watched game
Let's not
2.
go down that. Look,
I watched game 2, and I was just like you.
You want a lollipop for actually watching the LSU baseball game?
I watched a good bit of it. And
all right, Kim Mulkey, go.
Yes.
We got a minute, 45 seconds. Go.
We're gonna run it back. There's nothing more I need.
You know, dude, that I got people out here asking me why I think that LSU isn't on paper the number 1 team in the country. How can you say that, Blake? How?
Who said that?
Dude, I clipped this and put it on my YouTube channel today. People freaking out. How can you? You must have not ever talked to Pat Summitt. Well, let me tell you something, buddy. I have.
You spoke to Pat, the legend?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, I guess she rose from the dead. Hashtag Jesus. I mean, I don't know. Anissa Morrow, though. I mean, Carter, their starting 5 is going to be ridiculous. And you know what? We talk about Van Lith. We talk about Flaugier. We talk about Reese. Nobody's really talking about Michaela Williams in this way. Not yet.
Hey, I'm a Michaela Williams stan. Did an interview with her. If you want to watch it, go to my channel. She is one of the smartest high school students I think I've ever met. And she can play.
Or high school students that we were around were just dumb.
Yeah, I think it's some of that too. But her and her dad, I mean, I've had some fun conversations, and you have too, Blake. But they were they were interesting. Like, it was so cool. And I can't wait for people to see how nuanced Michaela Williams' game actually will be. And the best thing is she doesn't have to come in and score right away. You got plenty of other players that can put the ball in the basket. So obviously, really good stuff. Everybody's getting NIL deals. Flaugier dropped the new rhyme today. Dissed Iowa in the rhyme.
They deserve it because they placing bets on things they shouldn't be placing bets on.
I thought that was Iowa State. Was it that?
Both of them.
Was it both?
Iowa's got 26 people that got popped.
Both of them? I thought it was just. I thought it was I thought it was just the Cyclones. Nope. Oh my God, that is just absolutely crazy, man. Oh man, I'll see you, buddy. Cheers.
That's Carter the Power Bryant. Thank you so much, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.